Rod Zawacki, Brian Bittler, and Chris Ruffalo here for our New Year's Day show. And we're here live every day, so it's not really any different. It's not like a special edition or anything, but it is New Year's Day. We've got the 2 college football playoff games. We're going to dedicate a good portion of our show to that, as well as the other 2 college football games. And then we will do NBA and college basketball, but we might have to do NBA the way we've been doing college basketball. We'll have to see what the time parameters are. I don't want to run the show too long. I'll be on at halftime of both of the playoff games. Hopefully it's not like these Packer games, but I got a feeling they are both going to be like that. Anyways, let me bring in the guys, and we will talk more about it. Brian, what do you got going on today to start the new year?
Well, winning day yesterday, so I ended 2020 on a good note. Going to follow it up with my college football bowl game of the year and my bowl game 3-pack. Get all 3 plays for $50. I got a golden ticket in there as well, so pick it up. 3 plays for $50.
Golden ticket. You heard it here. Chris, how about you?
Oh, swept the board with the college football yesterday. Hopefully carry that over to the hardwood. I'm going to have my college basketball 3-pack today. Loving those plays on the hardwood, as well as my 2020 bowl season circle game. One of the games I was keyed in on at the start of bowl season when they announced the matchups. I love that play as well, so I got both those over $29.95 over at Pick Dogs Premium and SportsChatPlace.com Premium.
What'd you think of the Mississippi State Tulsa extracurriculars?
Oof. Some of the kicks that were thrown on the sidelines and the stomps, those were
the kicks were to the face mask.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the guy didn't have a helmet on or anything.
Yeah, that's true. No, but I think we could get.
I would say the reputation of the universities was bruised more than the players.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think a couple of those kicks we could get our new MMA guys to kind of dissect and go through some form on those kicks. But yeah, definitely you're right. Not a good look for either of the programs heading into the next season.
How about you, Rod? What do you got today?
For me, it's Steak Friday. Nothing like kicking off the new year with Steak Friday. I've got 3 plays on the bowl games. I got 1 college basketball, 1 NBA play. 5 plays to kick off the new year. We're gonna have massive winners this Steak Friday. I feel it. I'm loving today's 5 plays.
Nothing says New Year's Day like a big slab of meat.
Yep.
Speaking of big slab of meat, New Year's Day used to be the day. You know, there used to be 6 college football bowl games. It used to be even more than that. And it would be like the big game after the big game after the big game. And then after New Year's Day, it was all over, you know. And I still think that I like the idea of the championship game the week later or 10 days later, however they do it. But I do believe that the bowl season should be playoffs, you know, of some kind, and not how it is. I think, you know, having a 3-7 Mississippi State game, you know, they kicked us in the teeth, and now look what they get for it. That's what you get for having a 3-7 team in a bowl game. That's exactly what you get, you know. And, you know, obviously they're twice the size of Tulsa, and they just pushed them around all game. And the game was not as close as the score. I mean, they just physically pounded them. And that's what you see when the big teams play against the other teams. And we'll probably see some of that today, too. Anyways, we'll go to the game between Georgia and Cincinnati. You know, I in my video, this is what I said, and I'm sticking to it. There's no way in hell these referees let Cincinnati anywhere near this game. I don't have a premium pick on it, but I will tell you, there is no way in hell that the SEC and the Big Ten and and any of those conferences let any of the Big Five power conferences let an AAC team anywhere near their beloved Georgia Bulldogs, especially in Atlanta. Brian, you know, this is just one of those spots where it's like, as a college football fan, this is where the game has gone. This happened when bowl tie-ins happened, and that was in the 80s, in the late 80s. College football changed. It used to be bowls could select any teams they wanted, and that was the way that it was. And there was the big New Year's Day bowls. The Fiesta was later one, but it was the Cotton, who was an SEC against the Big 12. There was the Sugar, which was SEC versus at-large. The Orange, Big 8 versus at-large. and the Rose, Pac-12 and Big Ten, right? And those were the big college football bowl games. Then in the late 80s, in 88, they decided, well, let's have tie-ins to the bowl games. So it's, conferences go to these specific games, and like the Rose Bowl, that all games will be like the Rose Bowl. And that's why we got so many rematch performances. This year was different. But one thing that happened in those bowl tie-ins is they said, if you're in one of these 5 conferences, you get to go to the big paying bowl games. If you're not in one of these big 5 conferences, you get to go to the other games that don't pay as much. Welcome to the Potato Bowl. So what happened was, there was a lawsuit. The small schools took the big schools to court, and they said, you are discriminating against us. So Congress forced them to make a law where if you're ranked within the top 15 teams in the country, you get to play in one of the big ones. And here we have Cincinnati is this year's. That's why there's always only one. This year it's Cincinnati. It's never like Cincinnati, Hawaii, and Boise, right? It's never like that. It's always just one. And they are nowhere near those playoffs, right? I mean, nowhere near it. I mean, Ohio State was terrible this year, right? I mean, this was one of the worst Ohio State teams we saw. They only played like 6 games or something, right? And they barely won any of them. And here they are in the playoff, right? Notre Dame waxed by Clemson. I mean, not even a game, right? I mean, not even a football game. And here they are in the playoff against Alabama, right? I mean, we saw the Kentucky-Alabama game. This is the same thing, right? It's a rematch of the Kentucky game. So here's Cincinnati. These same people that have fought all season to exclude these guys from the top of the polls will now be calling this game. How fair do you think this one's going to be, Brian?
Well, in 3 out of the 4 bowl games today, the public is heavy on the over in 3 of the 4, and this is one of them. I see Cincinnati and Georgia. Cincinnati's known for their defense. I think they can at least keep Georgia's offense a little bit in check here. So I'm looking at the under 51.5. I'm going to place a nice little wager on it. I don't see it going over.
This is one of those games to me that I see like Georgia up by 20, and they're still throwing the ticky-tack flags. Like it's not enough of a blowout. It's not enough that we've done. We haven't done enough. It's like this. I'm not even watching this game, Chris.
Yeah, well, that explanation, I may be on the wrong side of someone. I'm still sticking to my guns on Cincinnati and the points. I just thought they're a better team than a touchdown plus a hook. And I thought maybe they relish the chance to be in one of these bigger bowl games and show up and try to give Georgia a run. So I'll still stick with Cincinnati and the points. If I'm wrong, I'll die on the sword. But that's where my head's at.
For me, my head's at this Georgia rush defense. Only giving up 2.3 yards a play all season long. And what does Cincinnati love to do? Run the ball. And they got no chance against this Georgia front 7 on D to be able to run the ball like they want to. And that's just going to force Cincinnati into throwing the ball. And that's not a pretty picture of Cincinnati trying to throw the ball. Give me Georgia. Lay the points.
Rod, better, fairer game. Fairer game to have a Sun Belt officiating crew or an ACC officiating crew for this one?
If you want a non-biased, then yeah, you should put like a Sun Belt crew in there or something. Yeah. Somebody like.
Is it fair to have a Power Five that fought all season? Basically the Power Five did the voting of the things, and it's like. They put 2 lost teams ahead of Cincinnati in the poll. So Cincinnati has every kind of motivation to get there. But, the deck is stacked.
But if you use a Sun Belt crew, then you could say that they were biased the other way, making calls for Cincinnati to get lesser-known teams into the bowl. So I don't know. You need a mix.
No. The last time an undefeated Cincinnati team went to the major bowl was the representative. They got slaughtered by 65 points against Florida in the Sugar, and there was some laundry early and often in that game. Tim Tebow's final game as a Florida Gator. Anyways, I just think, this is one of those games. I'm not betting it. I'm not watching it. I don't care because I already know what's going to happen. It's going to make me not want to watch college football because I'm rooting for Cincinnati. Let's get that straight. Auburn against Northwestern. We got the old Big Ten versus SEC matchup for a New Year's Day bowl game. This is what Bowl Tie-Ins does. Auburn 6-4 on the season, playing on New Year's Day. I don't know. Would you rather see, Cincinnati against Northwestern, or who else was undefeated? Imagine if San Jose State, who was undefeated, was the representative for the, in this.
Or Coastal.
Ball State, shoot them up and spit them out. I don't know. It's but this is what it is. This is what it is. Brian Kelly, when he was coach of Cincinnati, he said, before that game against Florida, and he did not coach in that game against Florida, in that Sugar. It was the year he took the Notre Dame job. Cincinnati ran the table. He got the Notre Dame job, and he did not coach in the Sugar Bowl. But what he said about that game, they said, does Cincinnati have a chance here? And he said, it's one game. We have a chance. In one game. He said, if it's a season, no, absolutely zero chance. And they had no chance in that game. They lost by 100 or something. We'll find out what the score is while we're talking about this next game. Northwestern and Auburn. Auburn was so inconsistent this year. Their coach got fired. Who has the best record of any coach in the history, in all of coaches, against Nick Saban, right? Their coach, Gus Malzahn, had the most wins against Nick Saban over the last 10 years. Gus Malzahn versus Nick Saban was 4-6, which I know it's a losing record, but it's way better than everybody else has against Nick Saban. I mean, we know what Brian Kelly's record is against Nick Saban. It ain't pretty. It ain't going to get any better. Brian, what do you think of this one? Northwestern and Auburn. Northwestern, really smart team. Auburn, a really sloppy team this year. Auburn certainly has the big guys. They got SEC, NFL players.
Yeah, for me, I'm going with a lean to the better athletes, and that's Auburn in this game, plus the points. I see Northwestern's offense against Ohio State. It's just pretty sad. I'm not in love with the game, but if I had to pick a side, it would be Auburn. I just think that they can keep it within a field goal here.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm on the other side. I'm on Northwestern. I just think Auburn fired their coach, and now you want to give Northwestern and Pat Fitzgerald a lot of time to prepare for this Auburn team. I think Northwestern steps it up here. I think they get the job done for the bowl game. So, give me Northwestern. I'll lay the points.
Why was Gus Malzahn fired?
I have no idea. I mean, I guess Auburn has expectations. Then a 6-4 team.
Right, but they lost that entire defensive line from the year before.
Oh no, I know.
Derek Brown,
yeah.
Defensive line, and they beat Alabama last year, right?
Yeah.
So you're not going to beat Alabama every year. You're not going to beat him in Tuscaloosa. So it's like, but he's Jim Harbaugh. They gave an extension. And Michigan's never beat Ohio State, and this guy beat Alabama a few times. Not just once. He beat them a few times. I mean, they knocked Alabama out of the playoff last year. Remember, last year was the first year Alabama wasn't in the playoff. I don't know. There's got to be something more there. Maybe a little something. I was just wondering if you heard any murmurs. But maybe someone in our audience has heard it.
8-5, 9-4. That was they were not bad records by any means, and the teams were good. And even if you had to play the tougher teams in the SEC, it still came out on top in a lot of those games. So yeah, I don't know.
Rod?
For me in this one here, I'm going to take Auburn in the points. Both these offenses have struggled to put the ball in the end zone all year. And it's always one of those tight games with Northwestern. So for me, yeah, I'll get. I see 4.5s everywhere. Give me Auburn plus the 4.5, and what I see is a field goal game.
I'm a little concerned about Auburn in this game, to be honest with you. I think that 6-4 was a little dressed up. You know, I watch a ridiculous amount of football, and it's like, I think that some of those Auburn wins, especially the Ole Miss game where they gave them the game, right? They gave it to them. I don't know. It just didn't remind me of like the typical Auburn teams. The thing about Gus Malzahn offenses is if he has his quarterback, they win. Like when you look at his two really great teams that he had, okay? So he was the offensive coordinator when they won the national championship. So he had Cam Newton, that's his guy. And then he had Nick Marshall. Those were his two ones where they beat Alabama at that other time, right, with Nick Marshall. They played in the championship game against Florida State. Lost. Last-second touchdown. I don't know. I just think, like I said, this was a sloppy Auburn team. They're just super sloppy. It's like they just didn't even look competitive against in games that normally, you would consider them to be, an easy win for them, like Texas A&M and stuff like that. Anyways, we go to college football playoff game number 1. Alabama versus Notre Dame. Okay, this is a rematch of the championship game several years ago when Eddie Lacy ran for about 700 yards. I remember Brian Kelly, the halftime interview, as he was going into the tunnel. He was shaking like a leaf, and what he said is, "It's all Bama out there." Now, Lou Holtz was the coach of Notre Dame the last time they won the national championship. He left Notre Dame, and he was very, very clear as to why he was leaving. He wasn't like, I'm retiring, because he went on to coach at South Carolina, right? He went on to coach at South Carolina. That was the last of the great Notre Dame teams, right? They beat Miami. It was a controversial game, but they beat Miami. They won the national championship. They would not rematch Miami in the orange. They would only play if West Virginia was playing, right? They would not rematch them. So, but we have, a Notre Dame third crack at it under Brian Kelly, okay? The last two have not been pretty. I mean, they have been epic one-sided beatdowns, right? Clemson just slaughtered them the last time they made it to the playoff. I mean, it was what was the score of that one, Chris? I know it was one of those like 23-3, but it looked a lot worse. It was 23-3, but it was a no doubter, right? It was something like that.
Which one was that, last year's game?
No, it was Clemson, Notre Dame. I believe it was 2 years ago, maybe, or 3 years ago in the playoff. Notre Dame was favored in that game, which was a joke.
The Cotton Bowl?
No, they played in it was in the Cotton Bowl, the playoff. 23-3 or something.
30-3.
30-3. So they threw in another touchdown. 30-3. I knew it was something in that range. It was not even close. We've seen Notre Dame teams get lit up on a regular basis in these big games. We just saw them get lit up last week, right, against Clemson. So what Lou Holtz said, and this is why I bring this up and why it's relevant, okay, why it's relevant to today's game, is Lou Holtz said, I have to leave because I cannot compete with what you are giving me to work with. I can recruit plenty of good athletes here, but I can't recruit the type of players that it takes to win a national championship because the academics here, they will not give me any leeway whatsoever. I cannot win with what you're giving me to work with. And since he has left, we have seen that play out time and time and time again. And hats off to Brian Kelly for his season that he had and for beating Clemson without of course, the number 1 overall NFL draft choice, asterisk, right? I mean, they beat them, right? They beat Clemson. They were missing, just one of their guys, right? They're missing one player. It just happens that he's going to be the number 1 overall draft choice in the NFL. And he would have been last year if he would have come out.
No, the backup was Swiss cheese. I mean, he was a top level guy. I mean, and he still had the Clemson athletes.
Well, we saw the difference, right? When Trevor Lawrence played and when he didn't play, was there a marked difference between those two teams and those two offenses? I mean,
yeah, but I also think there was a motivational factor to get that win back that they lost.
Davos Swinney teams always have motivation. Davos Swinney's run the regular season table way more times than Nick Saban, and he's had less cracks at it. This is only Nick Saban's second time running the table at Alabama in the regular season. The last time they ran the table, the team that beat Notre Dame by 100, with Eddie Lacy. I just don't see. I can't get there, and I can see the public, who loves Notre Dame, right? They frickin' love Notre Dame, and there's always going to be Notre Dame.
They don't love Alabama?
No, there's always going to be Notre Dame money out there. Notre Dame is the only school in all of college football. This is how big of a public team Notre Dame is. They have their own TV deal. They have their own TV network. Who else's games are on NBC? Only Notre Dame. They have their own TV deal. All the other teams, even Alabama, they have to split that money with their entire conference. Notre Dame is such a public team. They have their own. They get the SEC signed a $400 million TV deal. They have to divide that among 12 teams. Notre Dame gets the $400 million TV deal. They get to keep the whole thing. They're the most public team of all public teams. They're as public of a team as the New York Yankees. I think their TV deal might even be bigger. It might even be bigger than the Yankees. They're going to get housed. They're going to get beat by 100 points. I do not see how this team even deserves to be in this game after what we saw against Clemson. The only reason they're there is because there was nobody else. If USC won that game against Oregon, more than likely it would have been them. Talk me off of it. I do not see it. X's and O's. You can talk money all you want and line movements and all those other things. I don't care. It has nothing to do with this one. This one's going to be a beat down.
It hurts my heart. Anyway, in this one, again, the public heavy on the smaller guys, loving the over here. And I just think Alabama's defense, Notre Dame's defense, are going to come in and play a tough game. For my money, I would never stick it on the over, stick it on the under. A much better bet.
So Alabama has 2 Heisman finalists, the quarterback and the receiver, Devonta Smith and Mac Jones. And, the running back on Alabama, Najee Harris, would have been a Heisman candidate, had he played for any other team. I don't know. Notre Dame gave up 34 last time against Clemson. We're able to muster 10 points against them. I can't get there. You can give me 20. You can give me 25 points. I can't get there. Can't get there. This is not the best Alabama defense they've ever had. Certainly not. But Nick Saban didn't make the playoffs last year. I don't see him taking his foot off the gas here, man. Yeah, I know that all offseason, that's all they talked about. We didn't make the playoffs. Alabama, this is what the players are going to say after the championship game, win or lose. This is what the guys are going to say. Tomorrow we start practicing for next year. We'll celebrate tonight, and tomorrow we start playing for next year. Because we heard it. The year that A.J. McCarron slaughtered Notre Dame in the championship. That's what he said at the interview. We're going to enjoy this tonight. And tomorrow we start preparing to do it again next year. Amari Cooper. He said the same thing, but he was gone, right? He went to the NFL draft. He's like, I don't know. It's, these playoff games are rarely, I mean, has the only good playoff game that there's ever been, I believe, in these playoff games, the only one, there's been 2 I believe, that have been close. There was a Georgia-Oklahoma that went overtime in this round of games. There was a Georgia-Oklahoma that went overtime. I believe it was Oklahoma-Georgia.
Yeah.
And then
Ohio State knocked somebody off, didn't they?
Alabama, Georgia was overtime because I think that was the Jerry Jeudy touchdown.
that was the championship game.
Oh,
I'm talking about
talking
this
about,
round.
okay.
This
Oh,
round
oh,
is
this round,
this round
okay.
is known for the beatdowns of beatdowns, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the Big Ten went through. Didn't the Big Ten go 4 years without scoring a point in one of these games?
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that, right? It's like because they don't stack up against the other conferences. It was like with Dab. So because we'll get to that in the next one. What Dabo said before the season when Ohio State said we're not playing, and he said it doesn't. They don't matter anyway. They never win anything. And did you hear what he said last night about this game? He was like, he's like, and you guys beat them last year. He's like, yeah, we're gonna. He goes, look for a lot more of the same, but a lot more. Basically, we're gonna this time we beat them by this much last time. We're gonna beat them by 8 times as much this time.
You think that's smart for a coach to say?
It's what he says all the time. He always says it. He said it before the season. He said it before the season when Ohio State said when the Big Ten said we're sitting out the season. He said it doesn't. They said if you win the national championship, will be an asterisk or tainted. Absolutely not. They never win anything anyway.
So of the 12 semifinal games up to this point, only 3 have been decided by one score.
Yeah, they're always beatdowns. The odds of 2 close games here are very slim. It is. We're out of 2020, so we don't even have that anymore. Chris, what are you looking at in this one?
Yeah, I should say I put this one in as my preview. I'm kicking myself that I didn't, but I should have taken Alabama. I see this one as a 45-10 kind of game, where this is just where Alabama just puts the boots to them. I think we saw Ian Book in his last appearance in the playoffs against this kind of caliber team. It was that Clemson game we were just talking about.
Got drilled.
Yeah.
He's got 2 more years of experience now. I mean,
He does.
He has 2 more years under his belt. Or 3, right? 2 or 3 more years under his belt. He certainly is a better player. And I think, Notre Dame has those big receivers. They're going to try and go over the top. If you don't think Nick Saban is preparing for that, though, I mean, you're talking about the greatest, as dominant as Bill Belichick has been in the NFL. I mean, look at Nick Saban's record at Alabama. He wins in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scheme of his coaching career. The guy wins the championship every other year. I mean, like him, hate him, whatever. Satan, they call him. But it's the guy wins the championship every other year. And this is another year because they didn't win it last year.
Yeah, I'm laying points. I'm laying points all day with Alabama.
Rod, on Notre Dame here. Someone talk me off this thing because I'm ready to go all in.
For me in this one here, I'm looking at Notre Dame team total under 22.5. I just don't see. I think Auburn or Alabama's defense comes here to play, and I think they hold them down. I like the under idea. I think this is going to be not as much as a high-scoring shootout as people think. So I like Alabama team total under 22.5.
20.5's now coming in on this one on Alabama. This line is going up. Either people are watching the show or they actually, took a look at the game. It's like
18.5 on FanDuel currently.
Yeah, they're probably closed because all these other ones are 20.5. DraftKings 20.5, and that's minus 112. Sugar House 20.5, 888 20.5, MGM 20. Yeah, this is going to be ugly. All those 19.5s are big juice that are left out there. So even the line movement is saying Alabama. I don't know, man. Maybe I've been wrong before, that's for sure. I've made bolder statements and have been wronger before. Yeah, I took Georgia in the second half against Alabama this year. That was one of them. That was a smart move. I just think that when Nick Saban missed the national championship, or missed the playoffs altogether last year, I just don't think that sat well in the offseason. I just don't. And I just think that the Devonta Smith is really one of the best college. I mean, I've seen some great college wide receivers in my lifetime. I'm old, I'm old and crappy, and everyone knows that. But it's like I've seen some great college wide receivers in my day, And I thought when I saw Calvin Johnson that he was probably one of the best college wide receivers I ever saw. And and he played in an offense that didn't really lend itself to that. This guy reminds me a lot of, I don't even know who he reminds me, because it's just ridiculous. Because because Mac Jones just throws with such pinpoint accuracy, right? So it's like, it's just hard to, I would say of all the quarterbacks in college football, that Mac Jones is definitely the most accurate, right? I mean, he is just pinpoint accuracy. He's got those, and the running game.
Man, you're really in a love fest here for Alabama.
Well, it's as a college football fan, like them, hate them, anything like that, you have to appreciate it when the team had a mission coming into the season because they were embarrassed that they didn't make the playoff last year, and they came into the season and they took care of business all season long. Look at the scores of their games. I mean, it's not like anyone came close to them. That the 52-46 against Florida, last time out, was as close as anyone ever got. And it wasn't like Florida had a chance to win that game. They were never in it.
There were a couple late window dresser touchdowns.
52-3, 55-17, 42-13, 63-3, 41-0, 48-17, 41-24 against Georgia. 63-48, 52-24 against Texas A&M, who had one loss all season. I don't know. Call me crazy. It's, and also, you want to talk about how much of a public team they were? 10-2 against the number, or 8-2 against the number.
Yep.
Right? So, laying 21.5, 31.5, 25.5, 29, 28, covering those big numbers. Playing a lot tougher than they face here.
7-0 off an ATS loss, too.
Rod, what do you think Notre Dame's record would have been in the SEC this year? They played in the ACC, so they didn't have the cakewalk of cakewalks. But
well, we know what Notre Dame would have done to the Miami this year if they would have got a hold of them.
They didn't play. They would have lost.
I don't know. No, I saw that Miami offense.
How many times has Notre Dame won in Miami? Even the great Eric Parsegian teams. How many times has
that would be tough.
How many Notre Dame teams have ever? How many games has Notre Dame won in Miami? Ever.
I'm not a Notre Dame fan. I see what they have on the field.
Just look at Notre Dame's strength.
How many games has Miami won? How many games has? They played nobody. How many games has Miami won at Notre Dame? This many. There's not really a lot to this. You go to the next game, Clemson against Ohio State. A lot more interesting matchup. It's a rematch of last year's team, and of course, both quarterbacks return. Unfortunately, not both running backs return, but one of them does, who's, one of the top running backs in the nation, Etienne. Of course, Dobbins was a huge part of that Ohio State team and a huge part of that game for the Buckeyes. We saw Sermon last week, but he has not been like that all season. But he was like that last week. And this Clemson defense, it's been vulnerable at times. Certainly not like the past, but what we've seen in these Clemson games is what we've seen from Dabo Swinney is that his offense just doesn't miss. He puts the other team in a hole. They're going to pass, and then it gets ugly, right? This is basically the strategy here. Justin Fields, not a good passer, right? Not at all. They rate him as an NFL QB, but it's going to be Haskins all over again, right? Or worse. I don't know. This is definitely the better of the two games. That's why they put it in the primetime slot. The other game, they put Alabama in the same time slot as when they played Washington. Remember they played Washington in the playoff? Washington came out, scored the first touchdown on them. That was a mistake. What was the score of that one? I remember Washington scored the first touchdown. It's like, oh, man, they're actually going to have a game here. Nope. No game.
Against Alabama?
Yeah.
24-7.
Really? It was that close? Washington, 24-7? Wow.
Yeah, they went up 7-0, and then that was it.
Yeah, then they scored 24 unanswered. But still, that would be a cover in this one. But it wasn't a cover that day. Washington was getting a lot less than that.
Yeah, Alabama was 14-point favorites in that game.
14. Wow. What year was that? Did they win the championship, Bama?
2016.
So they lost to Clemson that year? Deshaun Watson?
I think so. Yeah.
The year Deshaun Watson dragged them up and down the field for 4 quarters.
35-31.
That was an awesome game. Remember that? Hunter Renfrow caught the game winner. That was freaking unbelievable. Time coming off. That was a rematch game. Alabama had beat them the year before with the onside kick. Saban he's like, we can't stop these guys. We'll just onside kick it. And Dabo never saw it coming. Oh, man. Classic stuff. Anyways. Ryan, what do you think of this one? This one's definitely the better of the two games. I could see this one going under. That total's like so high, right? It's like last year was 29-23. I see under.
Me and you are like diametric. I have the over in this one. It's my square patty play of the day. I think you're going to see tons of scoring both sides, up and down the field. So I'm going to take that over 68. I just think it's set high for a reason.
All right, well, here's the question then that I have for you on this, right? It's an honest question. It's not like picking on Brian or anything like this. Okay, they scored, how many points did they score against Northwestern?
Not many.
How are they going to score on Clemson?
No. I'm going by the number.
I mean, it's an honest question, right? I mean, this is an honest question, right? I mean,
I think they went into that Northwestern game and just took them as an afterthought and really weren't motivated. This is
the championship game with a shot at the playoffs.
This is a different
it's an afterthought. It's just an afterthought. I know Olave did not play in that game. Olave did not play in that game. He is their best receiver. He did not play.
We both had Northwestern against Ohio State, but this is a different game. I see a lot of scoring going on. I mean, the number's going up about 4 points. Lots of money on the over, but I'm gonna match it. I'm gonna go with the over here.
Clemson 34-10, 45-10, 52-17. They allowed 47 in that Notre Dame game. 28 against Boston College, 21 against Syracuse, 7 against Georgia Tech, 17 against Miami, 0 against Citadel, 23 against Virginia early. So in their last 3 games, they've allowed a total of 37 points. One of those was Notre Dame. Who, I don't know. Northwestern, 22-10. Michigan State, 52-12. And then all these other very close games, right, against lesser teams. Rutgers scored 27 on them. Penn State, 25 on them. The opener was against Nebraska. I thought Nebraska played that one. For a 52-17 game, there was a lot of laundry in that one. I went to Ohio State's favor. I thought the Huskers played pretty well. But an undefeated season nonetheless, even if you played 6 games. Because Michigan canceled, it would have been 7. Would have been 7. I don't know. I don't see where the points are coming from here. Especially last year, I thought the Ohio State offense was better than it was this year. The numbers certainly say it was. With Dobbins. I mean, Sermon, we saw it against Northwestern. If he gets the blocking, Sermon could certainly carry the ball, right? I mean, if he gets the blocking, he can certainly do it. But we didn't see it all season from him. We only saw it in one game. I don't think Ohio State's going to have that huge size advantage in this game. that we saw in the Northwestern game. This is definitely the more interesting of the game. I could get there. I could get there with Ohio State in this one, and I could probably get to the over, but I'm gonna say under for me. I don't love it. But to me, I can see it. I could see at least a path there because they played closer than that last year. It was closer than the spread last year, but the game was way under this number. It was two touchdowns under this number.
Yeah, I'm gonna lay the points with Clemson here. I just think this is a 10-point game at the very least. I think Clemson's defense shows up to play, wants to set up a rematch with either Alabama in the final or the rubber match against Notre Dame. But I think Clemson's the play here, so I'll lay the points with Clemson.
Ohio State was up 16-0 in that game last year against Clemson. Then they decided to they changed the game plan. And Etienne 8-yard touchdown run. Etienne 53-yard pass. Etienne 34-yard pass. Oh man! And you look at the other side. Olave had the touchdown, and he's playing today. But J.K. Dobbins 68-yard touchdown run. J.K. had a big day. It's J.K. all day, right? That's what they used to say. J.K. all day. 18 carries, 174 yards. You got to replace in this one. That is a lot of something.
A whole lot.
Olave, 3 receptions, 50 yards. Dobbins, another 6 receptions for 47 yards. So that would be 251 yards of offense. No, it's 200. No, it's 231. 231, 241? I don't know, something like that. It's a lot.
So for me, I'm definitely not eating no filet of fish patty on no over in this game. I love the under. The Buckeyes last 4 bowl games under. Last 4 neutral site games under. The Buckeyes last 6 bowl games as an underdog under. Clemson the last 5 semifinals under. Give me the under. I don't see any way that this game's going to go over.
Last year was a 6-point game, and Justin Fields had 340 yards passing, but he was the GOAT. He was the loser. He wore the GOAT.
Reason why
not the greatest of all time, the loser, in that game. The 2 interceptions, because Olave had
Fields' thumb.
Olave had 3 catches and 1 tackle. And yeah.
Fields has a thumb injury. That's why they only scored 24 points last week. He threw some wounded-looking ducks. Who's he throwing to? I don't know. I love the under in this one. Give me the under.
Trevor Lawrence, 18 of 33, 259 yards, 16 carries for 107 yards and a touchdown, including that 50-plus yarder that he had in that game. Etienne also back for this one. Only 10 carries for 36 yards and a touchdown, but 3 receptions, 98 yards, and 2 touchdowns. My guess is they're going to probably spend a little extra attention on Etienne, and they're going to say, we're going to make somebody else beat us, because they had no answers for him last year in the passing game. In the running game, they held him in check, but as a receiver, they had no answers whatsoever. 3 receptions, 98 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That was the difference. I'm going to go with the under still. Anyways, we don't have a ton of time left, so we're going to go to the NBA. I'm excited. I'll be live at halftime of both games. The drive-thru will be early today.
Oh, 3 p.m. Eastern.
So we'll just group a few together. Charlotte, Memphis, Detroit, Boston, Dallas, Miami. Anything there for you, Brian?
Yeah, I'm liking the Dallas Mavericks at home. It doesn't seem like too big of a line. Mavericks have been a Jekyll and Hyde team this year, but I like this light number at home.
Brian's
Dallas.
heads, I'm tails today, man. Jimmy Butler's back.
I'm leaning towards Charlotte laying the points at home against Memphis. I know it's baked into the line, but I think that the John Morant injury to Memphis is going to really hamper this team, and I like the direction Charlotte's headed in. So give me Charlotte, and I like Miami as well with Jimmy Butler back in the lineup.
Yeah, in this spot, I like the Heat and the Celtics. Give me the Heat. Jimmy Butler back. I think that gives the Heat huge motivation here to beat up on the Mavericks. And this Piston team, it's awful. Give me the Celtics here.
Notre Dame $22 million in TV revenue last year, this season. They had to split some of that NBC money with ACC teams because they already played in the ACC this year. I like the Heat against the Mavericks. Got Brooklyn against Atlanta. Bucks against the Bulls. Minnesota, Washington. That's an odd-looking line. And the Spurs, Lakers. Brian, Lakers.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to give out the Spurs, Lakers. It's a premium play. I'm going to do it on the drive-through today. But as far as that other grouping, I'm going to take the Nets. I'm going to take the Brooklyn Nets today and lay the points. So I think this is another one of those games like we saw with the Timberwolves where the better team at home covered. So I'm going to take the Nets.
Yeah, I'm on the Nets as well, and I also like the Spurs in this slot. I just think the Spurs get a little bit of revenge here for the game for their last game, and I think Brooklyn's just a better team over Atlanta. So give me Brooklyn and give me the Spurs. Mike's off.
Can't hear you.
Sure. For me in this spot, the Nets are on my shit list. They until they get their act together, I'll take the Hawks here. The Hawks have come in and done nothing but great things to start the season. And why wouldn't they keep this close again? So give me the Hawks plus the points.
So the go ahead.
What?
No, go ahead.
And I also like that line. Definitely looks weird, so I'm going to take the Wizards. I think the Wizards finally get their first win here over the Timberwolves. Give me the Wizards.
The line's flopping back and forth. So the ACC gets $155 million a year in TV rights, but that's for football and basketball. Okay, so Notre Dame gets a piece of that for basketball anyway. But Notre Dame itself gets $15 million just for football from NBC. I don't know how many members are in the ACC, but I know it's more than 10 because that would put it at 15.5 per team if there was 10 in the ACC, but I think it's closer to 20. And that's for football and basketball. Notre Dame gets $15 million just for football. That's how public of a team they are. They get 3 times as much as everybody else because everyone wants to watch Notre Dame on TV. Everybody.
That doesn't have anything to do with the betting that's going on in today's game, though.
Yeah, you're right. People that watch Notre Dame football don't bet. Anyways, got Notre Dame always heavily bet. Always heavy action.
In most weeks, but not against Alabama.
I don't know. The world needs squares too. I like the Bulls against the Bucks. I know it's crazy, but I haven't seen the Bucks blowing teams out. And the Bulls have been competitive, even in their losses. 3-2 against the number. I like the Nets against the Hawks. I like the Spurs against the Lakers. I took them the other night, going back on them. Suns against the Nuggets. We got the Jazz against the Clippers and Portland against Golden State. Any of these?
Jazz hurt me the other night, but I'm going to give them another chance getting points at home against the Clippers. It's not a game I love, but I'm going to give it a $55 bet there just to keep me interested.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean towards the Jazz as well at home. So you can keep this one within the number, if not win it outright. So I'll take Utah and the points. That's my lone play for this time slot.
For me, I like give me Denver. Give me Denver over the Suns here in this spot. Suns on a back-to-back. Denver sitting there waiting. I think they get the win over the Suns. It's going to be a good game. And give me the Clippers. I'll take the Clippers. Lay the big points. I'll eat a square patty on that one. So the Jazz actually show me something. They haven't looked good at all. So they're looking like they've got bubble hangover. So give me the Clippers here.
I like Portland against Golden State. Golden State's lousy. I don't care about the line movement and all that other stuff. It hasn't mattered in the NBA so far this season. I don't think it matters here. Portland's a way better team. Got a playoff team against a team that with the worst record in the NBA last year. Keep it simple. Go to college hoops. Lousy schedule today, but hey, maybe there's something in there for everyone. Got St. Peter's versus Canisius. Lipscomb versus Liberty. Niagara Marist. UTSA versus Rice. Wisconsin Green Bay Youngstown. Charlotte against Western Kentucky. Any of those?
No, like Chris did the other day, I'm going to have to take a pass in this early slide. I just don't see anything that really tantalizes my taste buds here. Not the pass.
There's the pass. I don't blame you. Chris?
The only one I really like here is I like the under 124.5 between Niagara and Marist. The two teams that just do not score the ball really with any confidence. So give me the under in that game where I think the first to 60 wins.
Rod?
I like Marist in that contest. In the first to 60 wins, I think definitely low scoring. So team's going to struggle to put the ball in the hoop. But I think Marist gets the win at the end. So give me Marist. And I like Rice. Give me Rice over UTSA. I think that's a close game too. So give me Rice plus a 2.5 for that one.
These games, I would say Youngstown State minus a 7.5, just a pure play against Green Bay. Yeah. Got Arkansas Little Rock against Texas Arlington, Fairfield and Ryder. This is the type of schedule it is today. Tomorrow, much better. Georgia Southern against South Alabama. Troy against App State. Georgia State against Coastal. Robert Morris against Milwaukee. Kennesaw State against Jacksonville. Northern Kentucky against Purdue Fort Wayne. Yeah, these are some gems. Oakland against Wright State. Iwapui against Cleveland State. Akron against Kent. FIU Old Dominion. Bellarmine against Transylvania. Long Beach State, Cal State, Bakersfield. Lafayette, Texas State. Monroe against Arkansas State. La Tech, Marshall. USM versus UTEP. And Cal Santa Barbara versus Cal State Fullerton. It's the rest of the card. I mean, not a lot of meat on the bone here.
This might be the biggest, worst card I've seen in
yeah.
a long time.
Oh, this is
Those games,
yeah.
those games you mentioned, I'm going to give a shot, small one, to Robert Morris. I like them laying the points against Milwaukee. I just think Robert Morris can win this game by 10, so I'm going to take a crack at it. But really, it's a really thin card.
What do you think about the card, Brian?
I don't like it.
Chris,
tell us how you really feel.
Chris, any meat on the bone here?
Well, if if there's meat on the bone, I'm gonna find it. I like South Alabama. Yeah, the points against Georgia Southern. I think they keep that a 2-point game. And I like FIU getting the free point against Old Dominion. I think FIU is going to just run and gun past Old Dominion. So those are my two for this time slot.
FIU, high-powered offense. Would you change their name to Old and Crappy Dominion?
Stop. They are the Monarchs.
Apologies to all the Old Dominion fans out there. Here we go. Just a solid comment here. Worst prediction. Must be me. I'm sure. Rod? Waiting for you.
I know, I'm trying to.
Yep.
I
Doing halftime.
I like one in this one. Give me Texas State plus the points there with Lafayette. I think they got a chance to upset them up there.
There was some controversial calls in that Ohio State Clemson game. Calls that could have gone either way. That's for sure. There wasn't a big fumble or non-fumble or something like that. It was like a big play, and it could have gone either way. And it definitely went Clemson's way. I just remember that. I don't remember the exact play, but I remember there was a big play that could have gone either way. It could have been a penalty. It could have been a penalty that was either a call or a non-call. It was something like that. It was a blatant one, and it was definitely they wanted Clemson in the championship against LSU. Call. That was exactly what happened. It was good because we were on the right side of it last year. All right, Chris, you got a bird cage for us? Oh, I didn't get my pick. I don't like anything here really, but I'll go with Akron against Kent State. Why not? And La Tech against Marshall.
All right, let's go with FIU, Clemson, and Alabama.
All right. Rod?
For me, I'm going to go give me Marist. Clemson under. And Georgia, Clemson under, and Marist. Those three.
Yep, I'm doing the halftime. They're doing the drive-through at a special time, so I can do the half times.
It's 3 o'clock Eastern.
3 o'clock Eastern for the drive-through. Brian, any parlay here? You like this college basketball schedule a lot, I see.
I'm going to go Irish under, Ohio State over, and Auburn plus the points.
The anti-Mitch parlay. It's the straight Mitch fade parlay. I like it. You made a lot of new fans on YouTube. He loses 90% of the games, that guy. I just fade everything. I told you to fade him. Thank me later. Almost hit that money line parlay yesterday on that college football. So close. They got that damn touchdown at the end, West Virginia.
Well, I was hoping Army would have hit that field goal, sent it to overtime, and then I would have got the touchdown cover maybe. I was dreaming, but that's what I wanted.
I don't know. I thought Army deserved to win that game. we saw West Virginia do exactly what we knew that they were going to make the mistakes, and Army was going to, they got the fumble inside the 10-yard line, turned it into a touchdown. It was like clockwork, and then it was a hell of a drive to get that last touchdown, and also the 2-point conversion play on the touchdown before, just a gem. That was just, you don't see a better 2-point conversion than that. I mean, that guy was wide open. It was like, you can't get any more open. I like the Spurs, the Miami Heat, and I like the Spurs, the Heat, and the Clippers. Spurs, Heat, Clippers. Birdcage. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Chris will be on for the drive-through. I might do a computer pick show if there's enough. Yeah, there's probably going to be enough there. I'll do a computer pick show, and, of course, I'll be on for halftime. Oh, wait a minute. The computer pick show we'll figure it out. I'll be on for halftime of Alabama against, who are they playing? Against Notre Dame, and Clemson against those other guys. I'll see you guys then. Have a great day. Enjoy your New Year's Day. Everyone has a New Year's Day tradition. And so enjoy it. And I will see you guys at halftime. Of course, we're going to try and act more professional tomorrow.